providers and workers. We're not just talking about the nurses that are there with the mask, but we're talking about everyone from the tops of administration all the way down to the janitorial staff that may have gotten there 3 days before all of this began. And they're going to have to be taken care of. We need to significantly look at and take a long, hard look at daycare and overnight care for these people and their children. We need to look into food and household supplies because they're working, making sure that we're safe as a society, and they have to put their own lives and sometimes their families' lives on the back burner for us. We need to look into retroactive hazard pay for these folks because they're the ones on the front lines and they're the ones risking their own health. And one thing that I don't know we've really thought about long term is the mental health services that are going to be needed for these folks because of what they're going to see and what they're going to go through and the levels of anxiety that we all face today that can only be described as incredibly heightened if you're working in a healthcare setting right now. We need to look at those mental health services also for the public. Isolation is the exact opposite of what a lot of people struggling with mental health issues need at this time, and yet it's the one way to guarantee that we don't spread COVID-19 around, is that isolation. So we need to keep that in mind moving forward, members. But luckily, again, to sing your praises, sir, for some of you freshmen who may only know Chair Cummings as the biggest piggy bank you ever seen in your whole life, he's done some great work in this chamber. And one of the things that I watched him work on from the first day that I met him in this chamber was telehealth services and getting that set up. You deserve a lot of credit for that, sir. And we also need to look at telehealth because these folks need to be able to call in and see if these are symptoms that may be COVID-19, or call in using telehealth to deal with their mental health issues that they may be having at the time. So we need to make sure that that's there. We need to make sure that folks have internet access. We need to make sure that we're not suspending, that we're not de-enrolling, that we're not doing coverage terminations on folks with Medicaid right now. That needs to be off the table. We need to do everything we can to keep primary care afloat because they're going to face a great burden. We also need to look as this goes on, and if necessary, transitioning some folks in private health care settings into public health care settings. We need local working groups. We need to worry about health equity in this state at this time because we have people in Florida, both in urban and rural communities, that are extremely, extremely underserved. I'm not even going to get into prisons. I'm sure some others will. We also need to watch out for our commerce workers, for those people in gas stations and grocery stores and pharmacies. We need to make sure that they're considered when we roll everything out. We need to worry about food insecurity, and I know Commissioner Freed is doing her best on that, and we need to give her all the supplies and all the financial help that we possibly can. There's going to be a lot of people that have huge medical bills at the end of this. Huge medical bills. We really need to look into funding or a fund and try to help these people out on the back end. Because some people are getting testing, there's nothing wrong, and they're still coming home with thousands of dollars in bills. There's so much to be done, members, and I'm not going to belabor the point any further. I do want to go back to the point. I know we don't like to dip into our reserves, but I really think that with the help of those reserves, we can make this happen. The past is the past. We do not need to worry about this. I'm sure there'll be a select committee at some point to review our response. But we need to keep looking forward, members. Our new adversary, this is a brand new adversary, is going to require a new plan of battle. And in closing, Mr. Speaker, thank you for the time. God bless the state of Florida, members. God bless this chamber. And please, 6 feet and wash your damn hands. Thank you.
Representative Hard in debate.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Thank you, Chair Cummings. Thank you, Rep. Trumbull, and all of you all who served in the various committees. I cannot begin to tell you, you all know how I feel about affordable housing. I believe that this will give us an opportunity that we're going to desperately need, especially after COVID-19, to house people, to be able to go into these communities, to do these rehabs, to be able to provide affordable housing for so many families. So many families that are going to be displaced, that are going to lose their housing as a result of not being able to go to work. And that's going to not be able to make those mortgage notes. So I really, really thank you all for fully funding the Sadowski Housing Trust Fund. I know that in my city and cities alike are grateful for every single dime. This is really going to help. I pray that as we move forward, we do not have to go back and touch our affordable housing dollars, but none of us know what will really happen. But I also would like to say to you all, as we move forward and look at our medical provider in the years to come, having visited 55 facilities, I've gotten a chance to see it firsthand. We are not providing the medical care that so many of our people need. We cannot continue to give billions of dollars to a company that is not taking care of our most vulnerable people. We know that only one outbreak in our prison system is going to devastate our 96,000 inmates that we have. So it's critically important that we keep them safe. I know that they can't have hand sanitizers. I don't know what they're sanitizing with. And because they've asked us not to visit, I've not been to a facility. But we're going to have to keep a very, very close eye on what's happening. We have hundreds, thousands, I should say, of people over 60 years old housed in our facilities. It's going to be critically important that we as a legislature pay attention and know what's happening in our facilities. So again, I thank you, Mr. Speaker, for everything that you've done. I thank you all for working with me this year and helping me to learn. I look forward to pressing forward in years to come. Thank you,
Representative. Further debate. Representative Escamani in debate.
Thank you so much, Mr. Speaker. And as always, Chair Cummings, it has been such an honor and blessing to work with you my first 2 years in the legislature. I'm really excited to say that we're going to have a Yescamani today on the budget. And that's for a few reasons, to echo Rep. Jenny's points too, and points made by Rep. Diane Hart. Affordable housing has been one of the biggest concerns for my community, for all of our communities, and to see the funds not being swept is incredible. I've also been really grateful to Chair Trumbull for arts and culture funding, which we have maintained now 2 years in a row of increased funds, knowing we still need to do more, but the increase we saw the last 2 years has been transformational for our local arts and culture communities. Also, the National Guard came to my office seeking additional resources. We have an armory in my district, and I'm really happy to say that also in Chair Trumbull's budget, we're focusing on supporting National Guard, who has been activated, and many of our members are there right now, ensuring that folks are going to be safe during this pandemic. And of course, too, celebrating Chair Rashine's budget on so many investments in water and conservation, which really is the future of our state. I'm so lucky to serve in this chamber with each one of you, and I'm especially proud that we rolled back the tax package. I mentioned it with the budget because obviously the budget is dictated by how much money we have in revenue, and typically every year we put a lot of decisions on the tax package, giving tax breaks back, which everyone has their different economic perspectives of if that's a good idea or not. But I definitely think during this crisis it was very smart of us to remove the initial tax package we passed, to remove those breaks for different industries, knowing that right now there's going to have to be a federal response to our industries, and that's a harsh reality that I know across party lines will we work on in Congress. But one of my concerns looking forward past COVID-19 members is we're looking at the potential of a loss of revenue. And that's mainly because Florida has relied so heavy on sales tax and fees and fines for different services. Sales tax is being detrimentally impacted right now as a source of revenue because the tourism industry is just crumbling around us. We don't have online sales tax. I will say for Amazon products that are not third-party seller, we do get online sales tax from, but we're not collecting online sales tax in this state. And if folks are going to be social distancing and isolating, they're going to be purchasing things online, and we might not be able to see any revenue from that, which is going to hurt our general revenue. At the same time, we're also going to be seeing services maintained, but remember, we don't charge taxes on services in Florida, so hopefully service industry will continue to bounce back, but it's still not a source of revenue for us. And obviously, as already noted by my colleagues, we have a lot to pay for and only more to pay for as we go into the future. I don't want to be in a body that increases fees on everyday people. I don't want to see us relying on driver license fees, license plate fees, healthcare fees, because we know that everyone is struggling right now. So as we look for new sources of GR in the future, I just want to be clear that we need to work to find solutions that are not reliant on charging fees to everyday people and look at other ways to generate the revenue that we so desperately need to pay for this great state. With that, Mr. Speaker, I thank you for your incredible leadership. It's been an honor to serve with you these 2 years, and I'm really excited to be a yes Kamani on the vote today, and look really grateful to continuing to prioritize public health alongside my colleagues and to serve as a resource for one another. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you. Further debate. Representative Jones in debate.
Thank you so much, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I will be very brief. I really just wanted to stand to thank Chair Cummings and to thank you, Speaker, because even within the 8 years that I've been here in the legislature, I voted on many budgets, and some of them I vote on this budget with heartburn. But this is the one time I can say that I vote on this budget, with so much enthusiasm, because to my caucus, there are some things in here that we have been asking for a long time, and for those who might be thinking about pushing the red button, just realize that teacher pay raise, Sadowski, thank you to Chair Trumbull, state workers, even dollars to looking at the trying times that we are in when we're dealing with the coronavirus, and even money to deal with our environment. All of those dollars are here in this budget. Speaker, that speaks to your leadership. Chair Cummings, that speaks to your leadership, and to this House, that speaks to all of us who have went to Chair Cummings and went to the Speaker, asking for various things. No, we can't get everything, but I know you all did what you could and what you can. So Chair Cummings and to the Speaker and to all the budget chair silos, appropriation chairs, congratulations to all of you, and thank you for doing the good work for the people of Florida. This is a good budget, and I'm asking all my members to let's vote up on this budget so we can go ahead and go back home. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Representative Newton in debate.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and I want to thank our Chair Cummings also. It is, this is my last budget, but the 4 years I've been on this floor, every year we had a challenge. First we had Hurricane Irma, then we had the Parkland Massacre, then one year we had the Hurricane Michael, and this year we got the coronavirus. Every single year we had challenges in this House. But it's my hope that this is the new normal, because we have to work together. This is a bipartisan effort. A lot of the stuff that we've been screaming for from the back rows have been recognized and funded, and it's important. But as we go forward, this virus is affecting everybody. It's an invisible enemy that is taking no prisoners. They don't care if you're black or white, young or old, straight or gay, rich or poor, Democrat or Republican. So we've got to be looking at ways to try to survive, and that's what this is all about. There's triage. I know a lot of people are not taking this seriously, but as we look at the news and see more and more people get affected and numbers grow, we know what's going to happen. It's going to be catastrophic. You got people now that can't work, and they still got bills. I'm grateful for the banks and the credit card companies that are looking to help people and defer payments and stuff like that until we get to a good place. All that's going to be needed, but this is going to affect everybody. But I'm glad at the way you steered this ship, Mr. Speaker. I served under 2 speakers and also 2 governors. I think we're in a great place. I think building camaraderie and willingness for everybody to work across the aisle and try to get something done, no matter who gets the credit. I think that's what's most important. And that's what we're going to need going forward. I know a lot of us will leave this place, but never the presence of these members. But going forward, it will be challenging. But it's nothing that we have not seen before. Every year, we've had a challenge. I've been here. It's never been a clean year. This one almost squeaked out, almost. Then we got to the end. I was just speaking with our new speaker designee, Speaker Sprouls, and he told me, I was telling him, I said, I didn't get all the money I wanted in the budget. He said, Newt, it's all funny money. Because we might be back here trying to zero out everything to make sure we provide for the people in this state. You're talking about 67 counties, 412 cities, 21 million people. That's what we're in charge of, all over the state. So it's my prayers and my hopes that going forward, we can do just that. We can work together. We can continue to do the good work of the people of the state. And with that, I'm up on this budget. This is a great budget. Thank you.
Thank you. Representative Grieco.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I'm going to be brief, and I'm going to vote up on the budget, but I want to remind everybody in this room that we are ranked last in the country in spending for the developmentally disabled, and I will continue to be a voice for them. So thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you. Representative Omfroy in debate.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. I don't know if many of you know this, but my aunt was a former representative. She served in this very house for 8 years, and then I had the pleasure of serving for 10. And what I am the most impressed by is that her words were true. She told me, she said, Anika, when you get there, remember that 89 to 90% of the time you're going to agree with your colleagues. And you guys have not proven her wrong. Representative Hattersley checked, so it's true. I have to say that under your leadership, Mr. Speaker, I have never been prouder to be a member of this House. I've watched as everyone has had their concerns, but I know that being a leader of leaders has to be the hardest job ever. So thank you so very much for all of your amazing work and always making me feel like I was the most important member, even though I have 118 other colleagues that I'm sure you make feel the same way. I would like to thank the subcommittee chairs. Chair Magar, thank you for understanding the needs in my community. I would like to thank Chair Rashine, Chair Yarbrough, even though you didn't give me any of your money. I'm being funny. Chair Latvala, Chair Fine, Chair Trumbull. You gentlemen and ladies have had to take on the burden of our entire state, and you've done it with class, grace, strength, and the ability to do the thing that's hardest as a leader, tell people no. And I thank you for that. I thank you for your leadership and your guidance. Chair Cummings, aw man, I followed you around like a shadow because I needed you to understand that my district needed your help, but I understand that everyone's district needs help. Thank you for always having an open door policy for this little freshman from Broward, and for giving the people of the state of Florida the intense direction. Like, I watched you in the little things ensure that nothing went unseen or unnoticed. Thank you for the most amazing budget that I've been able to look at over the past 10 years. I am proud to go home. I'm proud to say that I'm a member of this Florida House. And I also would like to thank Leader McGee for sticking to things. I loved your Sunshine Plan. I believed it brought some extra light to the things that were needed in our state. And I'd also like to just say to all the members, I know I don't talk that much, but I love each and every one of you in my own special way. And thank you very much. And please vote up on this budget. It's absolutely amazing.
Thank you. Further debate. Further debate. Representative Bush.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I'll be very brief. I rise to say that this is my 12th time voting for a budget. Starting back in 1992 to 2000, 2008 to 2010, and to this present. I can say that this is perhaps the best budget that I've had the opportunity to vote for. Now, there's some improvements in terms of a lot of needs that we all have, but you don't get everything. Rome was not built in a day. So I want to thank you for your leadership, and since you live in the same area where I live, maybe one day we can hang out and have some coffee, but I can't smoke cigars. I don't smoke. However, I just thank you for your friendship and your leadership. I want to also thank some of the finest members on this floor that I've had the privilege of working with. I can tell you now, several times before, it was the very antithesis. I didn't get up and speak favorable for the budget. However, I think that we all worked in an amiable way to make sure that we were able to address some of the great needs. Chairman Cummings, quite a man. I hate that you're leaving. You're quite a fella. And all of the other chairs that I've had the privilege of working with. I made it my business that I was not going to come on this floor and be mad trying to represent a group of people that needs a lot of help. So my purpose for being here is to make sure that the people in the 109th District get some of those needs met. And with this budget, the first time in the history that the HBCU schools have received this kind of money, $20 million more in the budget for our schools. Mr. Speaker, members, the governor, and everybody else who had their hands in doing this, you need to be applauded for that. A lot of those kids need these dollars. And I thank my good friend, Representative Fine, and with your leadership. And I'm looking forward to coming back next year, and we're going to have a new playbook. And I don't like to stand up talking about what we have not done. I just saw a lot of things we need. And I want to thank you for the criminal justice piece. We're moving, Representative Grant, Chairman Grant, Drake, we're moving in the direction of making sure that we can address helping Secretary Mark Inch, helping him with the criminal justice piece so we can help better our prisoners throughout the state of Florida. And we're going to come back and we're going to work on that. And having said that, I just thank you for this privilege. Normally, I close by saying in my committees, I need a blessing. But today, I'm not going to close like that. I'm just going to say, thank God for the blessing. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, Representative. Representative Altman, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I wasn't going to say anything, but I had to say something. I sat here and remembered when you opened session and you had a doctor call in through telemedicine. A remarkable thing. Now we're facing a global pandemic, and our first line of defense is telemedicine, virtual medicine. You're a divinely inspired leader. Thank you for your leadership. Thank you for your courage, and the people of our state are much better off for it, especially in these very difficult times.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Representative Hogan Johnson in debate.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I pray daily and often, and I pray to God every day that when we're in session and not in session in meetings, that we do righteous legislation in remembering who we're representing. It's heartwarming to see the things that have been done in this budget to help facilitate clean air, clean water, and clean soil, a healthy state, and an educated state. Let's continue, and let's continue to pray for one another, and that God will bring us out of this new trial. And I wish you all the best.
Thank you, Representative. Further debate. Leader McGee in debate.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and thank you to the members, and thank you, Chair Cummings, for this budget. Let me begin by saying that, echoing Representative Jones's words, this is a really good budget, and I'm asking all my caucus members to vote in favor of this budget. And the reasons why I am asking my caucus members to vote in favor of this budget is because there are some areas that we know that are very crucial to our democratic beliefs. And I do believe, Mr. Speaker, you and Chair Cummings have heard our cries for help, and you have delivered. Primarily in the area of education, we normally hear Representative Jones, Brown, Williams, Anton, Umfroy, Fernandez, Hogan, Johnson, and Davis talk about the importance of education and talk about the importance of funding. And today I am proud to stand on this House floor to say that you all have made it come true. Secondly, we talk about environment. As many of you know, this is something that's very important to us as relates to our principles in the back. And I'm happy to say that when we're talking about the environment, we hear people such as Rep. Good, Rep. Webb, and Rep. Diamond stand on this House floor day in and day out. And it's my understanding that the budget makes room for the environment. Third, the area that really pans home for many of the members here, particularly Representative Newton, Representative Daniel, Representative Valdez, Representative Greco, and Representative Cortez and Gottlieb, is what we're doing as it relates to the legal aspect and our criminal justice system. I've noticed that there have been provisions made in order to provide for that silo in that area. Next, we also understand that the important things to Rep. Duran, Rep. Jaquette, Rep. Wilhite, Rep. Silvers, and Rep. Polsky is health care. And I am proud to stand on this House floor and say thank you to each and every last one of you who thought it not robbery to ensure that our area of health care was taken care of. And as we talk about affordable housing, we talk about Rep. Hart, Rep. Watson, Rep. Smith, Rep. Clovis Watson, Rep. Escamani, and Rep. Bush. When you speak of affordable housing, these individuals have been at the forefront. They understand the importance of their communities and the community ask as it relates to those particular areas within affordable housing. And now when we talk about state workers, we also talk about the greatness of Representative Alexander and Daley and Osley and Driscoll and Thompson and Pritchett. They understand and they have laid upon us the importance of ensuring that state workers are taken care of. And as a matter of fact, this budget does that. You see, Mr. Speaker and Chair Cummings, and to everyone else who had a hand in building this budget, is that when you're leading leaders, your job is to serve and assist. And I am proud to say this is my last budget I'll be voting on. And I'm proud to say this is the last time I'll probably be grabbing this mic. I'll be grabbing this mic to make some remarks. But I want to say to my caucus, because I understand how it is to sit here for approximately 8 years, day in and day out, as some of my classmates have said, and wonder whether or not we're going to get what we're asking for. I am here on March 19, 2020 at 1:13 p.m. when we're facing one of the worst health crises in the history of mankind, to say that this particular budget makes room for each and every last one of the issues we've been fighting for from day one. But it also takes a step further and puts down a down payment to deal with the coronavirus, something that you and I and each one of us in this room know that we're going to see day in and day out for at least the foreseeable future. And so I'll close by saying this. Members Casello and Geller and Goff Marcel and Jacobs and Ricardo and Stark and Polo, although they may not be here to vote in person on this particular budget, they too understand the importance of the things that are found within this budget. Make no mistake about it, this coronavirus is real. And some of my members who have had to take an excused absence understands the importance of making sure that those within their households are not exposed to this virus. And so I say on behalf of the 47 members of my caucus, that thank you very much for listening to us, and thank you very much for being at the forefront. But more than anything, thank you for being a friend. Thank you.
Thank you, Leader. Further debate. Further debate. Before you close, Representative Cummings, let me just say that it's been truly an honor to watch you work. You deserve the credit for this budget. You and all of your sub-chairs and all the work that all of you have done in crafting this budget. It's really been an amazing process. We don't know what the future holds, but it's good to know that it's you and your team that are there working hard to make sure that whatever comes our way, we will be able to overcome. Thank you so much for the work you've done. Representative Cummings, you're recognized to close.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
You've got one coming. Don't worry. You don't have to ask for that.
Well, I know it was very kind and genuine. I think he was mentioning that this open. He'd say a lot of things I didn't have to say and go a little more brief. But I have been home the last few days dealing with these difficult circumstances facing our state. I had a lot of time to take notes, and I've cut it down to a little less than my farewell remarks. Not quite much, but there's no timer up there. But on a serious note, a couple things I want to do just right off the bat is and we do this hopefully regularly and hopefully routinely, but I can tell you that when I know a lot of folks that know legislators throughout our country, and I know that through different associations or affiliations or what have you, that is hands down, there's no doubt, and these other states know it, that we have the best staff, whether it's appropriations, whether it's policy, whether it's the Speaker's office in the United States of America. So I want to give them a round of applause. And obviously Carol Gormley, and there's so many others, Eric Pridgeon, and obviously your the staff directors for the various silos. I can't say enough good things, and I hope that these relationships will last forever. And I feel wonderful about the future, of this chamber with each and one of y'all. So thank you so much, and you've made me look good. Which is hard to do, and you've just really it's been a blessing to work with you. I know we got 7, so this may take a little while and be brief, but starting with Chair Fine, who has had last year as well as this year, higher ed's been a little bit of a hot potato. You were a soldier. You charged the hill when the Speaker said to charge the hill, representing the House. There were some tough issues, not to belabor all of them, but you did it like a man. You were the right person for the job. And I know Chair Williamson said you went to Harvard twice. I thought it was just one time, but I tell you, you've been phenomenal, and I look forward to the rest of your service here. Chair Yarborough, as we know, I'll talk about that in a minute. I don't know if there's a pure human being that I've met in my life, and you're just disciplined, the way that you manage your budget and worked obviously with staff and carry yourself I'm just really excited about your future, and I thank you so much. Chair Williamson, I know he's easy to give a hard time to, and thank God for Bruce Topp. And by the way, mixing in that a little bit, Bruce Topp, I do want to tell y'all something that in this budget doesn't really goes without knowing. I hadn't heard anybody mention it, and that's called Waller Park with the potted dolphins, and it looked like catching a squid out there. And I will tell you, it's basically the infrastructure of the Capitol parking garage and so forth. Bruce Topp and Eric Pridgeon have been championing that, millions of dollars, as you know, Speaker. You and I have been here in Waller Park. We finally got old stingy Senator Bradley over there. We love him, but he didn't want to invest in the Capitol. We finally got him behind it, where we thank Senator Bradley, but we're going to name it. We slipped a little proviso somewhere. I got to dig for it. It's going to be called the Top Waller Park after Bruce Topp, because he's been championing that so long. But on that note, you're phenomenal. You're a businessman. You're a great father. You're just a great member, and I know that your future is very bright here as well. So thank you for your contributions. Chair Latvala, well, I tell you, you had a lot going on this year and last year, just with your budget and a lot of attention always, and you're a hard worker. You're there all the time. And I just can't show enough appreciation, and I please call on me anytime I can be of service. Trumbull, I don't know where he went. He might have left. Oh, there he is. Oh, Jaybird, we call him. And I will tell you that, and I couldn't believe it. He didn't get any questions. I mean, he finally, the Speaker and I gave in on the Sadowski Fund, which, by the way, on another note, I visit Florida. Job Growth Grant Fund, you name it, and you were steady, and I know your final 2 years here are going to be your best. I do, on that note, Chair Trumbull, you and I have been working on this, and this Sadowski, I think it's a man, right? And God bless him if he's passed or what's happened, but and I'm sure he deserved the naming of that Affordable Housing Fund. We are going to make a resolution, you know, here in the coming months. I might try to slip it through a little executive authority and name it the Diane Hart Fund. So we are going to do that, and because of her devotion there. But thank you, Chair Trumbull. You're not only a fantastic member and been a great chair, but you're a great friend as well. Who am I missing? Holly? Yeah, the keys in just what you've done to not just represent your area, but the environment, which obviously with our governor has received a lot of resources and attention. But, you know, I've been in Florida all my life. Fourth generation Floridian, had never been to the Keys until a year and a half ago. And just to see the beauty there and you keeping that in front of us, whether it be the Everglades and South Florida, you coming up through this process and just the way you led with Scarlett is, I'm going to miss you, friend. I know we'll stay in touch for a long time. And then last but not least, obviously Speaker Magar, this budget has got so many handprints on it of obviously Chair Magar, but when you look at what you've done, it's phenomenal. I'm going to highlight that in a second. But you and I spent some time together this morning, and you had the 6-foot rule, social distancing. But I will tell you that this chamber is going to miss you, and I know we don't think any of us are irreplaceable, but you're going to be greatly missed, and I'm sad for Florida, quite frankly. But you know I love you, and thanks for all your contributions. Members, this is you know we talked, and I heard obviously a lot from you know the minority caucus as well in terms of a bipartisan budget, and I think when you look at it, what I'm most proud, I know we're in very difficult circumstances that didn't exist, you know, really when we were forming this budget, but I can tell you when you look at the Association of Persons with, or Agency for Persons with Disabilities, APD, when obviously you look at DCF, when you look at teacher pay, you look at first responders, or obviously valued state employees, correctional officers, Alzheimer's, you know, on and on and on, our elderly, it's phenomenal in that way, and I hope that those dollars can continue to, you know, go to good things, and we can build on it. And on that note, I want to mention the Speaker who, you know, we're in a lot of rooms together, it gets tense, and one-on-one time or just with staff, and I can tell you that there were a lot of folks that have been good leaders around here that were interested in a building or a pet project. Not with our Speaker. And if you look at his supplemental funding, if you look at what he told us to focus on with the Year of the Child, if you look at the direct I-budget waiver that I know obviously Chair Rodriguez was big on, and you look at that, he came to us when we had a few little pennies, took care of the reserves, and he asked Eric Pridgeon and I, where can I put it to the most vulnerable Floridians? And you will see that all over this budget. I appreciate the credit that he gives me, but without his leadership, that wouldn't happen, and he's to be commended. A couple of things, and I don't mean this to once again shed light or not focus on the times that we're in, and I know we want to get back home to our respective districts. I do want to mention something, since this will be, you know, hopefully my last time on the floor, that he's not here right now, but Representative Antone has been a big champion for HBCUs, for FAMU. Is he here? Okay. And so last year, as we know, the lavatory at FAMU is the Bruce Antone Lavatory. This year, with the HBCUs, I'm proud to announce that there's going to be the hot yoga room for Ramon Alexander at your choice. Bethune-Cookman, or obviously wherever you'd like it to go. So thank you for that. I also do, members, also want to mention that one final thing that I think did slip by you in the budget that you'll look, and this was Chair Trumbull and Williamson that kind of got one by the Speaker and I, and particularly Eric Pridgeon, who's like a hawk, and that was a little minor appropriation for Club 850. And in Club 850, I can tell you my parting gift to you is that it will be forever stocked with Pappy, Natter Days, White Claws. The posse can join at any time, and O'Doul's for obviously Representative Yarborough. So I wanted obviously to mention that. And on a serious note, Speaker, it's obviously been just an honor and a privilege to not only work with you, but you trusting me in terms of this role. And I hope, members, that this is a budget, and this has been a couple years where you've been able to have your obviously input and obviously have success, because I always knew that in 120 districts, no matter who's the chair, no matter who's in the minority, no matter who's in the majority, I knew that each and every one of you have the same issues that I do in my district. Some of you more, some less, some are different, but I hope you know that I care about those, and this budget should reflect that. Also, Speaker, obviously your work with Senate President Galvano. I'd also obviously be remiss if I didn't mention my colleague over there, Senator Bradley, and clearly, obviously, with the governor's office, with the governor and Stephanie and Shane, have been a pleasure to work for, or work with. And on that note, I would greatly like your favorable consideration of this budget. My phone has quit ringing, like they say, when you're done, you're term limited. So I hope a few of you will call me. Lobbyists definitely forgot my number, which that's not a bad thing. But with that, members, favorable consideration, and I will close. And, Mr. Speaker, I move to accept the conference committee report in its entirety.
Representative Cummings moves to accept the conference committee report in its entirety. All in favor signify by saying yea. Yea. Opposed, no. Show the motion is adopted. The question now recurs on final passage of HB 5001 as amended by the conference committee report. The clerk will unlock the machine and the members will proceed to vote. Have all members voted? Have all members voted? Clerk will lock the machine and announce the vote.
104 yeas, 0 nays, Mr. Speaker.
Show the bill passes. Congratulations.
I'm going to recognize Chairman Bradley on the conference reports, starting with 5001. Chairman Bradley, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. President. Senators, this is an unprecedented time in our state's history. The good news is that the people of our state are united, and we are fighters. We will overcome the challenges before us. This budget does two things. First, it gives our state the tools and resources it needs to fight the virus. Second, it contains robust reserves so that our government can continue to operate at full capacity if revenues decline as a result of the virus. This is a responsible budget. We have prepared for this moment with prudent financial decisions over several years, including this year. I want to review some of the highlights of the budget that we will be considering today. First, issues dealing with the coronavirus. There's over $50 million between state and federal funding in the back of the bill for immediate needs, immediate expenditures when it comes to dealing with health care equipment and those sort of things that the governor will need as he and his team deal with the virus across the state. May God bless our caretakers. This budget includes over $75 million in increased funding for our nursing home and long-term care providers so that they have the resources they need to take care of our most vulnerable during this time. Speaking of our most vulnerable, this budget deals with the Agency for Persons with Disabilities in a very aggressive manner to make sure there are resources available for that vulnerable population during this time period. This budget includes over $168 million in additional funding for APD.
I mentioned earlier our reserves, and I want to be more specific about the situation. In the 2021 budget, which is what we're considering, there are $3.9 billion in reserves. That includes $1.7 billion in the Budget Stabilization Fund, over $850 million in the Law and Child's Endowment Fund, and an unprecedented amount of dollars in our Working Capital Reserve Fund. We have $1.3 billion in the Working Capital Reserve Fund this year. To put that in perspective, in the current budget year, we set aside $1 billion. The budget includes key investments in teachers and school personnel. In teachers and school personnel, over $840 million invested, including $500 million for teacher pay. $840 million new dollars. That's $500 million for teacher pay and $340 million of BSA. Water quality and protection, a total of $690 million. We exceeded the governor's request of $625 million. $100 million for Florida Forever. A 3% across-the-board pay raise for our valued state employees at a cost of $335 million. And we did not raid the Affordable Housing Trust Fund. The Department of Corrections has been an area that we've struggled with, quite frankly, over the years. We decided to take the problem head on. The budget includes a new mental health facility in Lake County, the building of it, the staffing of it, so that rather than litigate these mental health issues anymore, we're going to deal with them straight on. $86 million new dollars in the Department of Correction in total. I mentioned the 3% across-the-board pay raises. We did more on top of that for our correctional employees. As I said, the Department of Corrections has been a problem area for many years. One of the problems we have is retention. We're dealing with that issue this year by not only giving our correctional officers a 3% across-the-board pay raise, but on top of that, $500 for employees with less than 2 years experience, $1,500 for employees with more than 2 but less than 5 years, and $2,500 for employees who've been with us for 5 or more years in the DOC. Also, those teachers who are in the Department of Corrections are going to receive a pay increase to be commensurate with the pay increases that are going to the teachers around the state who don't work in the Department of Corrections. The Child Protective Investigative Team that deals with so many difficult situations across our state, they're going to get a 10% pay raise, 5% for their supervisors. With regards to educational facilities, we have a total funding of $367.6 million, including $41.3 million to build new schools in 4 rural county areas that could not build those schools if not for the state's involvement, because they do not raise sufficient millage to handle their capital needs. This is something that we do every year, and we're doing it again this year. We have $112 million in university system projects, $18.7 million in Florida college system projects, and $169 million in charter school repairs and maintenance. We have not forgotten our friends in the Panhandle who dealt with Hurricane Michael, and we have not forgotten the victims and those who have dealt with other storms, including Irma. Major initiatives funded in this budget are $177.8 million for hurricane recovery-related drinking and wastewater revolving loan programs. We were very aggressive this year in drawing down federal dollars with state dollars. with a state match, because when it comes to drinking and wastewater revolving loan programs, Senators, the federal drawdown is great. If we put up $25 million, which we did this year, we draw down $152 million in federal dollars. So this will allow our friends in the Panhandle and in other hurricane-affected areas rebuild their drinking and wastewater systems with that cash. $40 million for revolving loan fund for small businesses in the regions impacted by Hurricane Michael. Again, a great return on investment with state versus federal dollars. $8 million state dollars, $32 million federal dollars. $30 million for hurricane housing recovery, and on, for a total of $289.3 million in hurricane recovery dollars in this state budget. Mr. President, I believe all of the sub-chairs are going to discuss their individual areas of the budget. I wanted to give an overview of the big picture items in the budget and say that I believe that this is the right budget for this time. It's a responsible budget, and I look forward to your favorable consideration today.
Thank you, Chairman Bradley. Would you like to recognize the order of the sub-chairs? If not, I'll start with Senator Stargell on the education budget. You're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'd like to thank you and Chair Bradley for your support for education in Florida. The total proposed 2021 appropriation for education, excluding local funds, is $23.5 billion. The total funding, including the local funds, is $35.9 billion. And first, I'd like to highlight the pre-K-12 education funding. For early learning, the budget provides $9.9 million in additional funds for the VPK program to fund workload and increase in the base student allocation, $110 million in additional federal funds for the school readiness program. We have $22.7 billion for public schools, representing a $776 million increase over the current year, which is a 2.4% increase in the funds per FTE and a $40 increase in the BSA. Other key issues included within the FEFP are $340 million increase in flexible funds that districts can use to help meet their specific funding needs. We have $500 million for the new teacher salary increase allocation, which was established pursuant to HB 641, and a $25 million increase in the mental health assistance allocation for a total of $100 million. $2.7 million increase in the sparsity supplement for small school districts, $8 million for the digital classroom allocation, and $68 million for the modified funding compression and hold harmless allocation. In addition to the increase in the FEFP funding, the budget provides additional funds for other key pre-K issues. Specifically, it provides $40 million reduction in the funds for the Schools of Hope program, of $42 million in additional funds for the Gardner Scholarship, which is a total of $189.9 million, and $42 million for school hardening grants. That concludes the pre-K-12 education budget, and I will now move into the higher education budget. Beginning with the Florida college system, the 2021 budget provides $23 million increase in operating funds for colleges, which is allocated through the college system's new tier-based funding model, and it maintains $30 million in performance incentive funds to reward colleges for student achievement and outcomes. For financial aid, student financial aid, the budget funds workload increases for Bright Future Scholarship, the Benequisto Scholarship Program, and the Children and Spouses of Deceased Disabled Veterans Program. For state universities, the budget maintains the current level of performance-based funding, which provides $30 million for national ranking, $24 million for University of Distinction, and $3.8 million to fully fund the IFAS workload. Lastly, for private colleges, the budget funds ease and able workload at the current per-student award amount and provides an additional $20.6 million to support Florida's historically black colleges and universities. And that concludes my highlights of the 2021 education budget.
Thank you, Chair Stargell. Chair Mayfield, Environment and Natural Resources, recognized.
Thank you, Mr. President, and I'd also like to thank you as well as Chairman Bradley for your help and leadership in preparing this budget. I'd also like to thank the members of the Appropriations Subcommittee, and especially my Vice Chair, Bobby Powell, for all their hard work over the last couple of months in developing this budget. Within the subcommittee allocation of funds for the general revenue and trust funds, including federal funds, the total budget is $6.6 billion. Some of the major highlights, which Chairman Bradley has already indicated, included in the recommendation before you are the following. Issues relating to water quality and protection and more than water quality protection is more than $690 million. This exceeds the governor's goal of $625 million. The makeup is $322 million for Everglades restoration. Springs restoration is $50 million. Alternative water supplies, $40 million. $198 million for water quality improvements, which include $50 million in Lake Okeechobee watershed restoration, $25 million for septic to sewer and wastewater programs, $25 million for TMDLs, $25 million for water quality improvements in the northern Florida rivers, $25 million for water quality improvements within the Indian River Lagoon and estuary programs, $10 million for the coral reef protection, and $76.6 million for general water projects. And finally, there's $33 million to improve water quality and combat harmful algae blooms and resilient coastlines. Other major issues I'd like to highlight is the Florida Forever program, which totals $100 million. Division of State Lands is going to be $67 million. Florida Community Trust will be $10 million. Rural and Family Lands, $8.7 million. The Working Waterfront, $2 million. And the FERDAP is $12.3 million, which fully funds the local community park grant list of 134 projects throughout our state. Within the Department of Environmental Protection, beach restoration is $50 million. Florida Keys is $10 million. State Parks facility improvements is $37 million. And petroleum tank cleanup program is $125 million. And as Chairman Bradley indicated earlier, the drinking and wastewater revolving loan programs is $537.1 million. Small county wastewater treatment grants is $13 million. Small community drinking water grants is $2.4 million. Cleanup of the State Fire College is $5.5 million. And additional local park projects totals $4.9 million. Within the Department of Agriculture and Consumer Services, a total of $16 million for the Florida Forest Service, which includes $7.3 million for wildfire suppression equipment. The State Industrial Hemp Program, which is a bill that we passed last year, will be 43 positions and $4.5 million to get the hemp industry up and running. Office of Water Policy will be 8 positions at $1 million. For verification and implementations of our BMP programs. Agricultural education and promotion facility totals $3.3 million. Citrus protection and research will be $21.3 million, which includes a total of $8 million for applied research and field trials. In the Department of Citrus, we are increasing the citrus advertising and promotion campaign by $4.1 million to assist our citrus industry, which is very important to our state. We also have federal hurricane recovery grants of $34.7 million within our environmental departments. Within the Department of Financial Services, Florida POM, which is the next phase of the state's accounting system replacement, is $26.4 million. The Fire College and Arson Lab infrastructure will be $1.4 million. Local government fire services is $20.5 million. Within the Department of Business and Professional Regulations, there will be 25 positions for hotel and restaurant inspectors within the Department of Business and Professional Regulations. 4 of those positions at $311,000 specifically related to human trafficking, and 21 positions with $1.3 million will help the department reach the statutory requirement of 100% annual inspections within our Florida restaurants. Within the Department of Management Services, our Florida facilities for repair and maintaining our state buildings is $72.8 million. The Florida Holocaust and slavery memorials will get $400 each. Private prison facility repairs will be $4.9 million, and the E911